Good morning, everybody. How are you doing today? Welcome to the Virgo December reading. I'm looking forward to talking about all the messages that came through as I did my channel writing this morning. Plus, we'll be taking a look at the Celtic Cross in just a few minutes here. I'd like to begin by welcoming everybody, whether it's your first time here or you're a return viewer, welcome back. I'm going to put down this little resplendent creature, Apollo, so I can get started and give you a proper introduction as well. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh, and every month I show up to basically lay out all the possibilities for you. And the way that these videos work is that you can use it for your sun sign, your rising, and your moon. Again, this is a month ahead, but a lot of the channeled messages that we'll be looking at in just a moment are going to be relatable because the way that I work is that everything is free will, right? And so the sooner you get some of these messages, the sooner you can start to put it into practice. And especially the beginning portion, it could be relevant to the live viewing. So let me talk a little bit about the format, and then we'll get into all the messages, as I said. So there are four major parts to this. The beginning is all the stuff that I've written down here on note cards, and I show up a couple hours early and basically meditate and download all of this information for you. So we'll talk about that first, and then we'll go into the Celtic Cross and see some high points, some challenges, and then all the opportunities that kind of make their way between the two. And after that, we will go a little bit deeper into an expanded forecast, looking at health, wealth, love, and destiny. And after we review everything in that, the first two parts, then we go into the soul path. And the soul path reveals itself as I do the reading. So a lot of times, as I start to look at some of the things from the channeled messages or from the Celtic Cross, we kind of see a revelation of things to focus on. And we'll go deeper into helping you get set up for success, not just for December, but also kind of opening up what's available to the next year. And after all of this is said and done, then we're going to focus a little bit on a meditation, which will help us integrate, and I'll play a singing bowl as well. And hopefully you'll feel a little bit lighter, a little bit better, and ready for what's in store for, again, not just December, but the year ahead. A couple quick things before we get started here. As always, if you would like to show support, I welcome Super Chat. I don't take questions during the reading, but it is a great way for you to help me continue to buy new supplies. I'll be using one of the newer decks here today that I've been able to purchase with your help. It also helps me with the note cards, with the magic markers, with everything else, because basically this is my day job. So this is a way for you guys to say thank you. And again, it's this little icon here, and it's optional, but much appreciated. I have a lot of folks that I know are Patreon patrons, or you're a channel member. So for those of that have already sort of shown their appreciation, thank you for that support. I have moderators that can help if there's high-level questions. Ryan just joined. Maria is here as well, and they will keep you on track and, again, kind of put you in the right direction if you have any questions. So with that being said, let's talk about what came through for today. This morning, as I was sitting here meditating and starting to write everything, I started to, in my mind and also kind of like psychically hear a cricket, which there's none in my house. And it was just sort of like an echo or a thought, kind of like when a song goes through your head. So your spirit insect, or spirit totem today is a cricket. And I meditated a little bit on why that little cricket was coming through. For me, I was really paying close attention to the sound that it was making, to the resonance of its voice, or I guess in this case, it's kind of like the wings or the legs or whatever it's kind of rubbing to make that noise. The first thing that I thought about is how it grabs your attention. It can be sort of, there's a lot of background noise, everything else, but if there's a cricket in your house, you're going to hear that. And in real life, what this kind of reminded me of is kind of like the old phrase, the squeaky wheel gets the oil or the grease, whatever, depending on where you live. And long story short, it just basically means that your voice is going to stand out. Speak up, speak out, and do it often if you need to, because if you say something enough and to the right people enough, what starts to happen is kind of like that cricket. You'll do anything to figure out where it is and quiet it down. So persistence. And again, we'll talk a little bit, I'm going to put it here. Make sure that it's cohesive and not just noisy, your message, because otherwise, like that cricket, you just want to get rid of it. But if you could find it and deal with it, that's kind of what I was getting with this psychically, is that you have a chance to grab people's attention. They're also already tuning into a little bit more. Crickets are very lucky insects and symbols. if you look up kind of like dream symbols for what it is, it can show like fertility and good fortune. It's good for money. It's good for abundance. It's good for developing things. So I think that if you're trying to figure something out, that sort of abundance, like I would see with like the Ace of Pentacles, for instance, is going to help you with new ideas. So you have a chance now to also leap forward, take like a cognitive leap, if you will, not just necessarily physical leap. And I think that's something that's really cool. And I like that symbology. And I was grateful that the cricket reminded me of that as well. The other thing is I was listening, I grew up on the East Coast, even though I'm living on the West Coast now. And we would hear things like cicada. But when I moved back to the West Coast, because I lived there originally too, I could hear the crickets again. So whether it's tree frogs, cicadas, crickets, or some other kind of insect, a lot of times there's this chorus in outside that kind of joins together. So one voice can sort of spark this whole chorus. And what I was sort of seeing for you is this chance to bring people into harmony, create some cooperation, also create a movement, because it's sort of like a chain reaction that would happen with that. So nothing negative with the cricket. I really love everything that was coming through. Cognitive leaps, a voice that is heard, and a chance to also bring other people into harmony, into the same sort of cohesive energy. Pretty exciting, I think, overall, right? So find your inner cricket and make some noise this month, okay? The next big piece that came through was 2 words just popped into my mind's eye, and that was compassion and composure. Maybe in part because we're not seeing enough of that lately. There's a lot of examples of people not really using compassion and not being overly composed. Know that as a communicator, especially as you try to maybe bring your own idea forth, this is so important. It can help assuage people that are already in a sort of agitated state. So the first thing that you could do is to sort of like take a temperature check of the room and see who you're talking to and how they feel. This is important whether you're talking to someone that you're going out on a date with your friend, with your mom or your dad, or with your boss. When we just enter in the room and start talking about ourselves before checking in and sort of saying, how are you? How was your day? And then just reading body language, you're going to be less effective as a communicator. And whatever you're trying to do, it's not going to work as well as you'd hoped. So expending a little bit of energy to figure out where that person is, ever so important. And also you get a lot back from that. And that person will open up. The heart center opens up, the throat opens up, the mind opens up. So it's a great way to kind of diffuse, engage, and also open the person that you're talking with. If you can't listen, this conversation is going to go nowhere, right? So that's a really important piece. And then sometimes just, you don't have to be condescending. You can sometimes, if you don't feel something, you can ask, say, tell me more. I've never heard this. I'd like to understand this. Or this sounds really frustrating. How do you feel? Ask them. Don't make an assumption. So empathy can also be curiosity. Like that checking in is okay. So it might be being inquisitive and really caring. That's a form of empathy. It's not just saying something that you don't understand or feel yet. So ask more questions, because that education piece is super important, and it's going to allow that person to talk and feel listened to as well. Okay. There are 2 things here to kind of think about. This brings you into your power and why we're kind of going into engaging the audience. First thing I have is just sort of like a warning, and then I have a flip side of it, which is a blessing. So the thing to be careful of is that because you are knowledgeable, you're practicing good compassion and composure, you're empathetic, people are going to want more of whatever it is that you're offering. So people will take as much as you're willing to give in money, in time, in energy, in love. And that's fine, but you also need to decide how much you have and how much you're willing to give. The cool thing with this, though, which my guides are reminding me, is that you can also ask for things, and you might be surprised by what you receive. Clearly, it works the other way around. I feel like we've all had situations where you just feel like you're giving and giving and giving and giving. So the place that you could really leverage this right now is in contracts. So because of what's going on in the world right now, you might be able to negotiate a better lease. You might be able to get a better deal on a house. You might be able to refinance something. Also, if you're looking at the extra work that you've done, because for those of you that maybe remained employed, you took on the jobs of a few people. Now it's time to talk about, well, either additional pay or step up opportunities within the company, etc. And if you're looking for a new job, making sure that you're getting enough. So people are always asking you or us or other people for things, so don't be afraid to ask as well. And it's not about sort of like asking for the moon, being realistic in what you're requesting. You might be surprised. If it's a realistic request and you communicate effectively and you put into practice some of the things that we just talked about, I feel like you'd be surprised by the results with that, okay? The next thing is odd because I very rarely just get a word in my head, but I did get just yes. It was like the guides whispered me yes. So it's a confirmation. Some of you may have come in with a yes/no sort of question, or you're wondering, can I do this? But then, I just talked about the power of no and pushing back when it came to resource management and manifesting actually too, but we rarely talk about the power of yes. And so where yes comes in as a power word is like, yes, I can. Your confidence. Yes, I am ready. This is so important to receiving. I am ready to receive love. I am ready to receive abundance. I'm ready for my moment in the sun. I'm ready. And then, yes, it's time. Let's do it now. So just as you can work with the negative, you can work with the affirmative and really put yes in your mantra. It's a very easy, like, yes, the time is now. Yes, I am ready. Yes, I deserve this. Do that before you have this negotiation about the price, the contract, or your whatever it is you're trying to achieve. Because then you've already pushed the answer out into your auric field. They're more likely to say yes because you're emanating yes energy. In the book that I wrote, and I'll talk about it at the end in case you're interested in getting it, but it's actually back there. There's a character death or transformation, and actually all of the sort of luminous angelic beings, they ask the main character, are you ready? Probably like half a dozen times. Even at the beginning of the novel, we see him like in the second chapter channeling it himself. His grandfather's channeling it. What he's ready for, you'll have to read the book to see. But for most of us, it's just that change or that abundance, right? And so I think it's something that we're always being asked, and the universe is whispering to us. So my question to you is, are you ready for the changes, for the next step? And if you're not, then what December is for you is like a catch-up month, a chance to integrate and do some of that internal work so that when the window opens, which is going to happen naturally around New Year's, then you can take advantage of it. Just a quick heads up. I'm going to be doing 2 collective readings. I did one on Halloween. I'm going to do a couple additional ones also towards the ends of the next 2 months. So for those of you watching it live, I'm going to do one around the 27th. Some of it will be about the book, but I'm also going to open it up into a bigger discussion at the beginning to use gratitude as a healing mechanism. So just as we're talking about this affirmative energy, thinking about what's good and what's going well and how even some of the difficult things have brought you into a good place, we're going to do that in November. And then in December, on New Year's Eve in the morning, same time I always do my broadcast, I'd like to do something to open the portal for the next year of opportunities. So if you're not in that energy of yes, you're going to have a couple opportunities to work with me in a collective reading over the next couple of months. So I'll update the channel and I'll update my social media sites over the next few weeks to illustrate that. But I'm going to convert that 27th event into something bigger. So it's still there and I'll still answer some questions about the book, but I have a feeling like we need to also focus on gratitude and we have some bigger things. So I'm going to do that too. All right. Next piece of information that came through is around divine timing. And this is so frustrating because sometimes we just feel like things are happening too slowly or you're playing catch up. Whichever end of the spectrum you're on, that's where you're supposed to be. So if it's dragging or if it's really kicking into second gear, then okay, good. This is where you should be right now. Don't force an outcome. Pay attention to ebbs and flows. And I've kind of talked about this 2 signs earlier, so I didn't want to spend too many cards or too many minutes on it. But briefly speaking, and just to kind of give it a little bit more color, what I mean here is that if you sort of see a bunch of doors closed, that doesn't mean that you don't have opportunities. It might mean that other ones are opening and they might be a better use of your time and energy. So it's always good to push and to try and to keep working towards things. Athletes always do that to kind of achieve a goal. But sometimes it's better to redirect and go where the energy is starting to flow rather than sort of like pushing yourself against a brick wall, because that might be a not so subtle way for the universe to say, hey, not this. Okay. Last 2 pieces, and they're super important, also really good into that affirmative energy of yes. I'm going to start with the last one because I think this is the most important one. Love yourself because others see what you see. So if you're struggling with self-confidence issues, or if you are wondering why things tend to kind of go sour sometimes with friendships, relationships, partnerships in general, it could be about your own self-confidence and how you feel about yourself, because people basically show up as mirrors, as echoes, as almost like external voices that are embodying those thoughts to test us. Like, is this really how you feel? And then we have a choice to continue to confirm that or to integrate and say, no, that's not how I feel. So get into that higher energy of thinking, yes, I'm ready. Yes, I'm valuable. Yes, I'm worth being in this relationship. Yes, I'm open to all of this and more. And people are going to see that and say, yes, you are, rather than going into the maybe the negative thoughts of, I don't know if I can do it. I never have luck with this. Maybe they won't like me. Maybe this is going to mess up. Maybe it will if you keep going down that sort of rabbit hole. I do see partnership opportunities coming through, and I'm not somebody that talks about it unless it comes through, but I could see something that looked more like a friendship. There's a chance for something deeper if you want it, or it could just be like a best friend. But I see some sort of a new friendship or collaboration that's coming through. And we'll look at the cards in a minute to see if we can get a little bit more information on how that might factor out for all of you. Okay, so great stuff coming through again. The cricket, ever so fun. I don't think I've ever seen that particular spirit totem. And what a nice way to start the day with the cricket. So give me a second to stack up all these cards. If you missed anything or just joined, don't worry. At the midpoint, I'll review everything and you'll get a chance to see each card and the words on it. So I also post these to social media, so you can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, or even on YouTube. And I post the images there on the different like blog areas. All right, let's get started. I'm going to turn the camera down and really just pay attention to the messages that come through. But afterwards, we'll talk, so stick around. They're doing some construction outside, so apologies for some of the noise if it makes its way through. I can't control that. We're all working on ourselves, so we'll just consider it like the crickets in the background, reminding us of what we're working on. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for giving me a moment to get everything set up here. We have the fiery energy of a dragon in the catalyst space. Beautiful card. It's the eye of the dragon, however. And this reminds me a lot of the last message that I was kind of talking about, the eye of the beholder. And so beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Love, self-acceptance, all of that. And that's where your power is. It's really in what you see. It's the window to your soul. It's the window to your possibilities. So change the way you perceive yourself and your future and your opportunities. Perspective is what we're seeing here with the dragon. We're not looking at the wings. We're not looking at the fire. We're literally looking into its eyes, into its soul. So its power is within. And even in the eye alone, you know that that's a force to be reckoned with, right? So understand that you have an inner fire. This is a month where it's being called to action, to do something. You're being called to use that and forge that into something that matters. So this is really kind of asking you, where do you see yourself? What do you want to focus on? And, you know, I've talked previously about the power of having really good eye contact and looking someone right in the face and being able to say something. So I think that people will be looking at you to read your energy too, to read your nonverbal cues. Can they see you? Can they see that you care? So pay attention to things like, you know, if you're kind of not looking or kind of distracted or whatever. I think that the nonverbal cues that you present this month are probably more important than you might imagine. Okay, let's go to the center. And we have the very outspoken, but not to a point that's ridiculously difficult. We have the Page of Swords reversed, and I like that energy because, again, pages are tempered so that they're not too much. And the reverse Page of Swords is basically saying, let's not sugarcoat this. Let's not put kid gloves on. Use whatever phrase you want. This is something we need to talk about, and then opens up that conversation. So I think that's kind of the energy of what you need to deal with conflict negotiations. You can kind of start it off with saying, we could all agree that this is something we could do better with. But I think that let's have an open conversation about what's going on. Have everybody feel like they can say something and that they're being heard. Now into relationships, because it's actually being crossed by the Two of Cups, and I saw the relationship energy. This one's really cool. It's almost, I can't tell if they're throwing it up into the universe or if it's coming down to them. Either way, this is sort of about wishing and receiving, like sending that wish out and then also receiving that wish. And I've talked about how I manifested my dog before, but it was a little bit of this, where I closed my eyes, I reached into the cosmos, and I basically told the universe what I was looking for. So I probably have some sort of alien reincarnated dog here because it's from way out in the reaches of the cosmos. But I kind of put that intention of the kind of energy and the kindness and the empathy that I was looking for. And then I waited patiently to receive. So I asked, then I waited for a sign before I went out and adopted a rescue. So you can do that also with people on the planet or with opportunities that you're trying to bring into fruition. You can basically say, you know, I am ready for this. Show me without any shadow of a doubt that this is the right person, that this is the right time. And then when that sort of signal comes through, like the noises outside, like a knock on the door, you're going to pay attention to that. And you're going to be able to really do something about it. So what I see for you is the asking card, Page of Swords reverse, putting that question or that thought or that energy into the universe, and then receiving. If you like somebody, this is also about asking them out or being direct about your feelings to that person in order to get things to the next level. So you taking the initiative certainly is coming through loud and clear, and stating your intention so that you can manifest also really clear. And going back into the energy of yes, are you ready to be happy? Are you ready to receive? Yes, yes, I am. That's what these cards are saying. Yes, universe, I'm ready for this. Bring it on. Okay. So if you're single and waiting, that's what that would be. If you're single and happy, I joke sometimes, well, too bad. There's more stuff coming through. So maybe you can use this for partnerships, but maybe love will find you anyway because you're detached. And if you're in a relationship, this is asking for what makes you happy. So partners aren't mind readers. And even if you read cards or if you're intuitive, you shouldn't have to wait for your dreams, your cards, or your third eye to open to know what's going on. If you're partnered with someone, they should be able to speak up and say, I like this or I don't like that. So whatever end of the spectrum it is, whether it's you or your partner, open and frank dialogue is basically what's coming through. Okay. Let's go into stuff from the past that could be either helping or hindering you at the moment. So we look at the deep past, we have the 10 of Wands in reverse. So this has come up a lot for different signs, not always in the deep past position, but I think it makes sense for you. This is about a delay in something that should have already happened, right? So I've seen 10 of Wands a lot because we're just all waiting to like travel or to move on or to leave something. And I know that a lot of us have kind of been stuck in a position right now. Remember what I was talking about with divine timing. I do think that things are starting to unravel now to the point where you're not going to be as stuck as you were, because I'm looking here at the Devil and the 8 of Swords reversed and the outcome. So I think you're going to see a light open up at the end of the tunnel. One thing with this card is to remember that you don't have to do it all yourself. And I want you to check in with how you feel sort of attached to whether it's a job or a relationship. Is it something that feels good, or are you carrying all the weight? Because the Ten of Wands card is often a burdened card. So it should be something where it's equal and you get excited about showing up and you think like, yes, this is what I want. Otherwise, I'm seeing that there's a natural sort of course of action that's going to be happening maybe in December. It might happen just shortly into the new year, where you're ready. One of those doors is going to open and you're going to go through it. I feel like that's going to happen anyway. All right, so let's take a look now at your recent past. We have another page card. This has to do with, I'm going to pull it a little closer and do it upright so you can see it, because this is a very gentle deck and it's shading and coloring. So we have Page of Wands here. And this is really about bringing forth that idea. I think for some of you, it's just giving yourself permission to mentally go there, right? Because sometimes we are so shy or so uncertain about things that we think, I don't know, is that a good idea? Will people like me? Will people like that? So whether it's simply wondering if people are going to appreciate you as a person, or if you have a really great idea and you want to bring it up at work, or you want to sell a product, or you want to put it out to the world, there's hesitation coming through with that. And I'd like to remind you that your strength and your convincing nature is going to be what gets me interested if you're trying to market it or sell it to me. So if you love it, I'll love it. If you're like, I don't know, maybe you like it, maybe you won't, I think I'm going to pass until you're more confident. Imagine that you're going to a restaurant and you ask somebody, what's the special? And they're like, yeah, it's this, but maybe you want to try this instead, or I don't know, do you like it? And they say, I don't know. You're not going to try it, so sell it and own it. Otherwise, it's like that special that's just going to sit there and get cold, okay? The fact that I got 2 pages at the center is actually pretty good. This is where it's kind of a gentle beginning, right? So we have the Page of Swords, the Page of Wands. I like 2 of the same suit because that shows me equal energy, but it's very gentle and it's very low in the court suits. So that's why I saw a beginning, but not necessarily jumping straight into something that's hot and heavy if it's a relationship, or even if it's a partnership, getting too serious too fast. You want to get to know, get to know that person. So either courtship if you're dating, or a smaller engagement of sorts before you do more business with somebody. So for business, take it easy. For relationships, take it easy. But what's cool here is I do think you guys have a lot in common and you have complementary skills. One is in ideation, one is in communication, because we have swords and wands here. So I see a nice partnership, just easy does it. And I see hesitation from both sides. So I feel like somebody's got to make a move. Hopefully that's you, since you have the Page of Swords at the center and you can figure out where to go from there. Not surprisingly, we have an Emperor card, but it's reversed. So the Emperor card should show organization, control. What we're seeing here maybe is both sides trying to figure out who's the boss, who's in charge. And so try to figure out what that is before, especially if you're going to be working in some sort of a partnership with somebody. Even in a regular relationship, this is really about figuring out how you're going to divide things up a little bit. And maybe it's kind of like a flat organization, even in the relationship where everything's evenly shared. That's a very different view of this, but notice how this particular Emperor is trying to kind of like stretch through this 3-dimensional box anyway. It kind of is limiting. So maybe we're getting past some of those old things, but you still need to know who's doing what on a certain day. So have that open communication. Maybe you're flattening things a bit so that everybody's sharing those responsibilities, but I think that needs to be stated or communicated somewhere. Emperor reverse is also a very personal card, where it's saying, what do you need to do right now to feel strong, independent, in control? This is your chance to reclaim those energies. It's not necessarily bad that it's reversed. When I see a reversal of a card like this, I was talking to yesterday's sign about like the Queen of Pentacles in reverse or something like that. To me, that can mean just education. When it's the Emperor in reverse, it's really about maybe going back into the past and thinking, where have I lost control before? Who's made me feel less than? How can I pull those qualities back so that I know that I can do this? Again, your confidence in what you see, when we go back to the eye of the beholder, that's ever so important. Good leaders believe they're a good leader. That's part of it. It's like chicken and the egg. So I don't know where the power is. It's the skill for sure, but we've seen less skillful people get good jobs because, what, they're charismatic, or they just believe in themselves, and it's kind of like they're pushing out this persona. There's power in that too. If you can have the skill to back up the confidence, you'll be unstoppable. And I think that's really what we're seeing with the combination of these two cards. I can see it, can you? And if you can own it and you can really pull all of those things together, then some good stuff is coming through. We have the 9 of Pentacles in the near future. Really great card when it comes to finances. It's independence, basically personified. The card in reverse is showing, however, some hesitation. So sometimes we question, can I do this on my own? That's natural. So if you're maybe like in college and just getting out of school, and this is a really weird time to go out into the work world, right? Because we're kind of oscillating between shutdowns and openings, and maybe there's a vaccine, and who knows what's going on. There's a lot of ambiguity. It's going to be important for you to find ways to protect yourself during that volatile time. But guess what? The 9 of Pentacles is always an affirmative. That's the yes. Yes, you can do it. Is it going to be easy? No. You probably can't do this alone. This is normally an independence card. So I would say this is a time to team up, to ask for help when you need it. Maybe it means, for some of us, sticking with a roommate longer than we wanted, or, spending an extra 6 to 8 months at home before getting your own apartment or something like that. But ultimately, it's going to help you with the independence, particularly with money and resources. So do what's smart and right for you. Don't put yourself in a place where you're trying to carry on the weight of the world, the 10 of Wands. You'll get there and you will be independent. And I think you have what it takes to do it on your own. But don't be afraid to, along the way, accept help or ask for help, or find ways to sort of like partner up with somebody. I think that this is just part of the journey, right? Because I have a lot of cards of independence and wanting to kind of like break out. Now, if you are in a relationship where the partner won't let you do it, that's a completely different case. What I'm seeing here is that it is your time, it is your voice, it is maybe even your resources. So you can now take what's yours and move forward if that's what you want to do. So if you have the resources and you're just afraid, I feel like it's the right time. If you don't have them yet, give yourself time to get what you need to properly launch, basically, okay? Either way, we have 9 of Coins in the near future, which is a fortunate and auspicious and positive card, just like the cricket. You can do it, okay? We have the 3 of Wands here. For some of you, it's already happening, or this can be an indication of like, next 3 months or so. Basically, if you continue to work hard, this is showing you that things will start to come through. In this particular deck, it's almost like I see a cord and I see him kind of moving things around. It's hard to this is a highly symbolic deck, but what I like about the 3 of Wands here is that he's not waiting up on the hill. You all know that I get tired of that illustration. He's actually actively doing it. This is what you should do for the 3 of Wands. So thank you, Fountain Deck, for that illustration of someone that's participating in their dreams, not just expecting them to come to them. So I like that a lot. And that's part of what I would kind of convey to you as well, is have a hands-on approach. Every single day, you got to keep your hand moving something forward and building something. If you just sit back and wait for the ships to come in, you're just waiting. You're wasting time. So don't wait. Actively produce, actively build. And I see things starting to be, coming forth as fruits of that labor, which is great. Thank you so much, by the way. I see some generous contributions. I appreciate it. All right. As we look at what's coming through in the environment, I have the Fool card here. And this is about taking that leap of faith. Here's the cricket, jumping. The Fool can indicate jumping to a new conclusion, like having some sort of a cognitive leap, that ideation. It could be moving, because we saw the 10 of Wands, which is a quintessential moving card. And this is also one. It's in the environment. And this is a little bit of a vagabond energy with the environment, but I like it more than the Tower. The Tower to me shows me you don't have anywhere to go. The Fool tells me you're moving. You're going somewhere else. And because we have the 3 of Wands on it, I think it's a good move. I think it might not be immediate. It could be in the next 3 months, or it could be in the next 3 quarters of the year. We're looking at threes here, but it will be next year. A move is imminent, and it feels like it's in the right direction. So move with that energy, take the leap when it feels right. So I would say it's probably like anywhere from 3 to 9 months out. So somewhere between maybe almost like April to September or October of next year, that period. The first few months of this upcoming year of 2021, take it easy and figure out if it feels right. Let me take a drink and then we're going to talk a little bit about hopes and fears and the outcome. So in hopes and fears, we have an unshackling card here, the devil, but it's reversed. Let's look at it in the upright because this is a different view of it. Notice how there are just two people that are kind of pulling away from one another. One thing that's really interesting when you look at devil and lovers energy is that it's almost like magnets, right? So the lovers card, you see two people with an angel, and it's all bright and it's like the Garden of Eden. When you look at the devil card, it's usually a symbol of the devil in the background. But what's important is the chains. It's two people that are stuck together but don't want to be together. So what we're looking at is attractive energy or energy that's pushing away, repulsive. So I feel like you're at a point right now where you're naturally pulling away from something or someone. Could be a job, could be a habit in your life that no longer suits you. It could be a person. And it feels like this is kind of the make or break it moment. And with it reversed, I would say just let go. If someone's meant to come back, they'll come back. But otherwise, this is what I was talking about with divine timing. If that falls away, then you're opening yourself up for a much higher frequency. And unconditional love means cutting those cords, letting someone fly, and also freeing yourself in that process so that they can really only love you if they know that they're not, quote unquote, stuck with you. Same thing with the situation. I think what 2021 is going to be, because we're looking beyond even December here, and I don't just read for the moment. I'm trying to help you live your best life, right? So it feels like the theme that I'm looking at for you moving forward is unshackling, and these are antithesis type energies. This is freedom. This is not. This would be being enslaved or being stuck into some sort of situation that you don't want to be. So this is where your heart is. This is what you're moving out of. And just tell yourself, I am ready. And that's not going to be a pattern that repeats in my life, whatever it was, a bad relationship, a bad job. Sometimes it's a little bit of both because that relationship can be with your boss or the way that your coworkers treat you. You're definitely deserving of something bigger and brighter if you can see it and if you're ready. So take some time now. If you're looking at it in November, definitely in December. And I want you to kind of brainstorm and think about it. Just like I sit here with my cards, like journal a little bit and think, like, what am I trying to do? What have I been doing? Why am I doing it? What am I trying to do in my life? Where do I want to go? Because if you don't do a little bit of homework, then the universe doesn't know how to show up for you. Even if you're doing great, and I hope you are, by the way, because your crowning card is the Emperor, so you should be doing great. You could do even better. And that's what this whole spread is showing you. There's an opportunity here to release a limiting thought. So release it. Maybe you can do even more than you thought you could, right? Or there's someone in your life that wants to leave or move on. And what I'm seeing here for those of you that might be, maybe you're an employer, right? And you have an employee that's ready to leave, or maybe you're a parent and your kid wants to move out. This is about letting them do what they want to do. This is the freedom card. This is them. They're around you, and this is you're not going to hold on. You're going to trust them, because when you trust them, then you're basically not only allowing them to be stronger, but you're sending that message that, yeah, you can do this. Yes, you can. And yes, I can. And yes, we're going to be okay. So wherever you're at on this, there's a chance to release something, and it's a yes kind of energy. Yes, this is the right time to release it. Okay. We have the 8 of Swords here in reverse, and that actually is this. Because normally this is blindfolded, and this is a big old eye looking at us. So what I'm seeing here is something coming to the light of day, okay? And being able, willing, maybe even engaging in what it was that we thought we were afraid of before. It's taking the blindfolds off and saying, I'm gonna look at this. I don't wanna look at it, but I'm gonna look at it. Or maybe I'm afraid to look at it, but once I know what I'm dealing with, I'm no longer beholden to the mystery or the energy that was kind of holding me down, right? So overall, this is really, really good because we see unconditional love that you're either going to give or receive. We see visibility into paths that you weren't able to look at before. And it's ultimately energetically opening you up to the 9 of Pentacles, which is independence, self-sufficiency, and abundance. So working through some of the lessons we just talked about brings forth in the near future the 9 of Pentacles. It could also be something that you never imagined possible. So this is the illusion that I can't do it. This is, oh my gosh, that surprised me, just like would happen if I saw the Two of Swords. This is the happy surprise, the Nine of Pentacles, but it's also tempered with doubt, like, why did this happen to me, or do I deserve it? Anytime something really good happens, sometimes we can kind of go into that for a second, like, how long will this last? Why did it happen? Did they make a mistake? Am I a fraud? Stop it, stop it, stop it. It's the right time. It happened because it was supposed to. Be grateful for it. Tune in on the 27th and I'll help you with the gratitude. Like, it's okay. You earned it. And just enjoy it for as long as it can last. It'll last as long as it can last. I think that was actually a line from the Matrix where he's at the very end, the source came out and talked to the Oracle. He said, how long do you think this peace will last? And she said, as long as it can, as long as it will. So this will last as long as it will last, okay? If you see it and if you think it will, and if you keep working in that energy, it will. If you start doubting it, you're going to pull in the realization of that doubt. Yep. All right. Let's expand the forecast now, and we're going to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny. In the area of health, which is mind, body, and spirit, we have expansion. Something I've been talking about a lot. I feel like all of our third eyes are starting to open up quite a bit, right? And that's what's happening with this. So we have expansion here. And it could also mean that for some of you, expanding the family, because I see Empress type energy here, which can show pregnancy or adoption or even just marrying and kind of adding to the family. The other piece for you is just generally speaking, how can you improve your life? How can you improve your overall well-being? And I think for 2020, we realized it's not just money. It's not title. It's not where we work. It's how do I feel? How am I? And I think that that's where hopefully you're starting to work on yourself. Going back to school can be expansion, and Nine of Pentacles in reverse can also be, normally I would read like Eight of Pentacles, but this could be a decision to invest within or into yourself. And so that's definitely great if you want to do that. Let's look at some other energies around health here, and then we'll go into wealth. So anytime I see the 10 of Swords or the 10 of Wands, I really want you to focus on spine, spinal health, back, lower and upper back. With the 10 of Wands, thankfully, we're not necessarily seeing chronic pain, but we could be seeing something out of alignment. So little things like your shoes, if the tread is worn down too much, I'm looking at mine, they're okay. But I have another pair where I looked at them, I thought I gotta toss them or resole them or something. So if your sole is kind of uneven, that's throwing your hips off a little bit, and that can cause some spinal issues. Your pillows that you're sleeping with can throw the neck off. If you haven't replaced your mattress in like a decade, it might be time. All these little things, even like how your chair is, how high it is compared to your desk. Look at the little adjustments that you can be doing to make sure that your spine is being taken care of. That's actually one of the major things here. The Emperor card is reversed, so I'm not seeing too much stationary energy. Just walking is going to be ever so important as well. It's difficult. I know there are certain countries and even states here in the United States that are currently going on lockdown where that's not possible. But one thing that I was doing when we were under lockdown was virtual working out. So I would be kind of jogging and working out with a virtual class here in my living room. And I heard some other neighbors doing that. So move your body for sure, whether you are confined in your house, and this is a small space that I live in, or you have the freedom to walk in the streets. Just move your body. That's going to move the energy, okay? Let's look now at wealth. So Odin, interesting. The Hanged Man, I believe, is based on Odin when he was upside down. So the fact that this is upside down is like the Hanged Man reverse. But the other thing is, I'm pretty sure Odin lost his eye too. He was the one-eyed god, right? So we're going to be able to, this is all about opening up. This is about somehow, if there is any pause in your life that's going on, if you've plateaued, if you're waiting, if you're sort of stuck in limbo, you're stuck in limbo because maybe something better will open up, or maybe you're going to get a better idea while you're waiting for something to come through. And when that happens, you're going to be so much more prepared for that opportunity. Also, again, with the third eye, I really want you to trust your intuition. I mean, I hope we're all doing that. I've been working here on the channel for, upwards of almost 6 years now. So this is the whole goal of this, is to try to help us all be stronger and be more intuitive. Don't be afraid to ask for guidance, but also know that you already have some of that knowledge, which you're seeking from others within. And that's basically what Odin is saying. You've got this. He's also like the ultimate emperor or Hierophant type card, and that's what we're seeing here. So Odin was the emperor and also the dragon here. So you already have the stuff that you're seeking from somebody else. And so if this is taking the form of like boss, teacher, friend, mother, father, whatever, because he was the all-father, then you don't need it anymore. It's basically showing that you're kind of finding your own independence and you're getting into a good space now. So start your own business perhaps, because that's, again, emperor energy. I do think that if there's something that you're stuck doing, this is really about trying to find a plan B. So I get it. For those of you, especially that have children, or you're taking care of an older parent, or you're taking care of yourself and you have a lot of bills and a lot of responsibilities, it's not always feasible to just take this leap and say, I quit. So do it wisely. Find some other place where you can go and be willing to call that bluff when you give your resignation, if you're going to do something like that. I do feel like there's liberation and self-empowerment that's a part of this for wealth. So if you can't step up to that next level, if you feel like you're tied or tethered to this place, maybe it's education, maybe it's finding a better place, maybe it's moving, since we saw the 10 of Wands and the Fool. Some sort of a change needs to happen, and it's a pretty big change. So consider what it is that you're willing to trade off, and consider when you're ready to do it. Remember, we talked about yes, I can, yes, I will, yes, I'm ready. Use that energy to help prepare you and to help make it easier to do it. When I had to quit my corporate job, it was so hard. I thought about it for a couple of years, as I said before, and when I wrote the letter, I still think I got a little bit like queasy the day that I had to do it, like had to hand it to my, there were a couple levels of supervision that had to accept it. This was the time of year too. I decided in December and I quit at the end of January, but I knew that if I didn't do it, I would never do it. So sometimes we just come to that point where it's like, I have to do it today. I have to say it today. So any sort of announcement, any sort of proclamation, or again, something where you're going to let go of something, you have to be ready. But I was ready, and I had a plan B kind of lined up. So just make sure that you have all your ducks in a row. It took me 2 years to kind of figure out how much I needed to save up, what I was going to do. And even then I was still kind of winging it a little bit. So you'll never be perfectly ready. Just know that when you're ready, kind of on a heart and soul level, you'll have the power that you need. And with all of these power symbols, Dragon, Emperor, and Odin, I feel like you've got it, and you'll manage this when it's time. 9 of Pentacles, one last thing is just, I feel like you're headed in the right direction, even if you're not there yet when it comes to money and finances, okay? Now let's look at love. Admit the truth to yourself and act accordingly. All right, Archangel Michael, thank you. The card was reversed, which is also saying, like, get real, be accountable. Sometimes, if I look at the 7 of Swords, it can be, or in this case, the 8 of Swords. We hide from ourselves, or sometimes we tell little white lies to ourselves. So this card is really about being honest, being truthful, and using the energy that we saw here at the center with the Page of Swords, saying, let's get to the point. So enough said there. With other relationships, I think the other thing is, the other side is true. So the truth could be, I love you, right? Like you're thinking, I love you towards somebody, or I forgive you, or I'm over this, whatever it is. Admit what that is, and then it's all going to be a lot easier. But sometimes saying it, writing it, thinking it, that's the hardest part, because you're kind of coming to terms with whatever that is to yourself, which is the most important thing. You have to come out to yourself with whatever it is you're going to come out to the world and say. So announce here and then announce there. Care and compassion, very close to what I was talking about earlier. What did I say? It was, it wasn't so much compassion. It was compassion and composure. So close. I would say with the care piece, do practice self-care. This is the hardest part sometimes, because especially if you are a parent, a teacher, one of the folks out there that are doing an amazing job as a nurse, a doctor, or anywhere where you're helping people in need, sometimes you're always putting that energy out there. Make sure that you're taking care of yourself right now. It says, choose to be love, do what is right for everyone involved, that includes you, offer a helping hand. So I would just say it cuts both ways, and you should also love yourself. And if you're in one of those positions where you are helping, aiding, supporting your own personal health, comes first or you can't, those people that are depending on you, whether they're your family or people at a hospital, you won't be there if you don't take care of yourself. So that's why it's super important. It's not selfish. It's actually about sustaining. Okay, let's review everything we talked about. We'll go a little bit deeper. I'm curious about Odin and the eye, or the dragon there. I want to see sort of like what your secret power is, as if you were sort of like a superhuman or superhero. We're going to go into your latent or hidden power. And then I want to kind of see what we can do to break through to your abundance. And then we'll pull a wild card at the end and see what else comes through. Okay. So your channeled messages again, your spirit insect or totem was the cricket, and reminded me, because of its nonstop sort of noise, that sometimes it's that squeaky wheel that gets the oil. So to kind of like translate that into everyday terms, your voice stands out, speak up, speak out, repeat this, and lo and behold, someone's going to want to come and just maybe quiet that down and deal with whatever it is you're saying. You have an opportunity to make a leap forward, and this could be an ideation or brainstorming. You can also create group harmony and cooperation, and I was using that example of kind of like hearing cicada or tree frogs or whatever. You can basically get the whole group to start to say the same thing, which is exciting. Make sure that you and your message, you're kind of cohesive and that you're not just making noise, because that cricket in the basement can also drive you crazy, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's being effective. So have a purpose to what you're saying. We saw care and compassion. We also see compassion and composure. I would say compassion being the thing that's coming up again and again and again. Kindness will get you so much further. And it's easy to go into anger or to go into pointing fingers, but be compassionate towards yourself and others, and it's going to be super important. And helpful for that matter. It's always nice to deal with somebody that actually cares, right? Especially like if you're calling a customer service agent and they just really seem like they care about you, it makes all the difference. This will help you assuage lower frequency emotions and will possibly win over somebody that could be a potentially working against you. So you could get an ally from someone that might otherwise be sort of like an antagonist. Check in with other people emotionally. Read the room, basically. Make sure that you know who you're talking to and where they're at. Start with that first. How are you today? How's everything going? Maybe follow up on something that you know that they might be dealing with. People are going to take as much as you're willing to give, especially with resources. But guess what? The same thing holds true. You can ask for things, and you might be surprised at what comes through. So use that when you're negotiating for a new rent, for lower APR, for a raise. Kind of get your ducks in a row with this as well, though, and sort of tell them why they should do this and use some data points, and that's going to be really important. We've talked a lot about the power of yes. It's confirmation, but it's also sort of really powerful in helping others see. They have to see what you can see, and you have to see it first. So yes, I can do this. Yes, I am ready. Yes, it is time. And also, no is great in creating the limits, but if you can't see the yes, no one else will see the yes. And if you're not ready, why aren't you ready? It's kind of a rhetorical question, but it's going to help you figure out what you need to focus on this month. Divine timing is at play. So if something isn't happening, it might not be happening because there's a better opportunity or there's a reason. You might have something else that you could focus on. Don't force anything. It's like if you have some sort of a plug and you're trying to put it in the wrong sort of receptacle, you shouldn't do that. You're going to just break it or you're going to overload the circuit. Love yourself. Others see what you see. And if you see the negative, they're going to kind of show up as an actor trying to play that part. And finally, I see partnership energy, which is why I mentioned that. And we saw it here at the center too. So you want to sort out how you feel so that they feel the same. And hopefully that is in a really positive space. So yes, I'm ready. Yes, I'm deserving of love. I love what I see. And then that's going to make other people more likely to do the same. So we just talked about the power of visualization. This is basically kind of like the Two of Wands. I see it, you see it, we see it, we're doing it, it's happening. The Page of Swords reverse being very clear, very straightforward. This is so important in relationships. And if we look at all of these that are touching one another in the center here, we have compatible energy with the Page of Wands and Swords. We have a sort of tug of war for independence, which might be happening, financial independence, or just sometimes not wanting to receive help or not ask for help. So there's a little bit of power dynamics that need to be sorted out here. Overall, I like the energy though. The only thing that I'm seeing now on the review that I want to highlight, some of you might be dealing with the past, sort of worrying about, will I have a repeat of maybe someone cheating or lying or saying something that isn't right, because the devil can show someone coming through that isn't ready to give what you're ready to give. And if that's the case, this is a new relationship. It doesn't have to repeat the past. And that's where your straightforward communication is going to be important. Talk about your hopes and fears with your partner. And this is going to help allay concerns and hopefully get you past that. It's not showing up in the environment. It's in the fear area, which is why I didn't focus on it that much. If you're afraid of something, talk about it. But don't let past fears create situations that don't exist. It's time to move on. It's a questioning of when, not if, because we see it being overdue and we see it happening. I think it's happening in the quarter year for many of you, so the next 3 to 4 months. Again, this is your time to shine and your time to take power over things and kind of power back for some things as well. We only got one resource card, and it's a really positive one. So I think you've got what it takes. It's just timing for some of you, like when that breakout moment is. Keep working and be hands-on with the work. A move may be necessary for this change to happen in your life. This is about letting go, releasing the hold on people, and also cord cutting if you need to. And it's about enlightenment too. And that actually is why Odin was hanging from the tree of knowledge and tree of light or whatever it was, upside down. He was gaining knowledge, and that's part of what's going on here too. So cut the cords, receive the information that you need, and move forward. Knowledge expansion, personal expansion, growth, possibly growing the family. There's a lot of movement happening, and you're either going to fall together or move apart, as we see here. So energies are either kind of like, attracting or repelling right now, and that is cosmic, and that is okay. So whatever direction you're in, it's all right. You're exactly where you need to be. It could be a little bit of both for some of you. So just kind of work with it. The other thing that I was looking at with health is paying attention to your spinal health. Also letting go of any sort of addiction that's in your life. The fact that we have the Fool here tells me it's time and you're ready. And you're also ready to look at what you need to do. So everything looks good here for that. For wealth, be careful who you ask help. Like, I want you to ask for help, but make sure you like the person and you trust them, and that you don't. I talked about this to the other son that I was reading yesterday, just not giving away too much. So you have what it takes. Odin and the Emperor and the Dragon, 9 of Coins. I feel like you've got this. So if you're checking your instinct, that's fine. But at the end of the day, you still have to make the call. And I feel like you don't need more help necessarily than what's within. Trust your heart, trust your soul. Just say what's on your mind here. Admit to yourself what the truth is and act accordingly. That could be I love you. That could mean that it's over. That could mean I'm excited about this, whatever it is. Put this into action. And then what we see here with this Page of Swords, 2 of Cups, 3 of Wands, things start to happen, especially with relationships in your life, partnerships. They start to flourish because of that. And then you get away from this energy that we saw here. And then finally, care and compassion. Even if you have to step away from something, you can do so in a way that makes you proud, that leaves the door open, that basically is kind, compassionate, and composed, to kind of pull the word that I talked about earlier. All right, let's look at your superpower. I'm going to do the soul path right now. We'll look at 3 parts of your life. We're going to look at past influences first, and I'm paying attention to sort of the dragon energy, the 9 of Coins, and the 10 of Wands. I want to see what it is that you're ready to maybe share with the world. 10 of Pentacles, fantastic. Okay, so this is really you stepping out on your own. 10 of Pentacles can also be marriage, family, a new foundation that you're kind of building here that looks really firm and strong and great to me. So what's your superpower here? That you can do it. And normally you would see people here. I see sort of like everything's set up. All that's missing is the people. Normally you see sort of like the tree of life or whatever on top of, like, the coins are arranged in that sort of Kabbalistic coins. But anyway, basically it's showing that it's all there, but we see the family beneath it. There's no family here. There's no extended family. There's no people, and that's the missing component here. So if you're ready to take this out to the world, then I see reciprocity on that. So I feel like you've got like the best kept secret, or you're holding back for some reason on doing something that will pay off in the long run. So it's time to move forward. So you deciding that it's time is sort of your superpower, and then just capitalizing on this inner knowledge, this inner passion, something that you might have actually already finished but just shelved. This is good. But your ability to engage other people, like the cricket, your spirit totem from this morning earlier, that's where it is. So use your voice to bring those other people into the fold. Okay. Let's take a look at, maybe I'm going to try to get an indication of like when you can get into the Fool energy. Like, what is it that's holding you back? Because the devil's above the Fool. So why are you resistant in letting go, right? Because they're opposite forces. So how can you get into the energy of release? Six of Cups. Oh my gosh, there's so much with community and other people here. But with the Six of Cups, this does harken back to childhood. We're almost looking at this through the lens of this dragon eye, is what it looks like to me. And we're going back in time to look at something from when you were a kid, a lost dream, or a moment in time where someone made you question, can I do it? Do I know who I am? Is this going to be okay? This is a return to that dream, or that sort of understanding of, yes, I can. This dog outside from the neighbors reminding us, yes, you can. So I want you to kind of be celebratory about this and think about it. I don't know why this happens, but a lot of times we get talked out of our dreams by parents, because they'll say, well, that's great, but you won't make a living at it. Or because we maybe have a couple of setbacks, we think, I'm not loved, I'm not liked. No, that's not the case here, because these are very receptive energies. This is usually showing a connection with people that really get what you're trying to do. It may be a little bit more of a niche than niche than the 10 of Pentacles, but the Six of Cups is your tribe. That's like best friend energy, family energy. It can be a soul family. So maybe rather than you trying to do everything for everybody, whether it's a product or who you're marrying or what you're doing for a living, really try to connect with the people that get you, your soul and chosen family. And when you start to focus on who you always have been, not just as a little kid, but also going into your soul child, kind of like, it reminds me of 2001, where we see the cosmic baby at the end, the star child, right? So we're all little star children when we're not in this body. And we're still kind of figuring it out. Who knows how long this universe is going to be around and what the next universe will look like. I think there are multiple universes. So going into your soul baby and figuring out like, what did I want to learn in this lifetime? Because even if you're, 100, you might still be learning things. You're still a baby inside. You're still expanding your knowledge. And that's what we see here. So go into that energy of expansion and really go after what it is that sets your heart on fire, sets your soul on fire. And by the way, that's where you're going to find your love too, if you're looking for it. Passion can take many forms. It can be a project, and it can also be a person, and it could be both. And the Six of Cups is someone that totally gets what you're doing. So sometimes when you go way out in outer space and let that freak flag fly, then people really get it with the Six of Cups. So that's you. That's you being as outlandish and unusual and sort of authentic as possible. And that's really what's going to make it fantastic. All right, let's do the sort of like whatever the universe wants to tell us for the third card. Okay, this is about being truthful with yourself. I mentioned the Seven of Swords. Don't be afraid of it. Seven of Swords in reverse is getting real. And it's hard, but it's really an important card. We see with this that sometimes the Seven of Swords can be protective. Sometimes it can be selfish. Sometimes we're trying to get away with something. So basically, your higher self, your star child just came through and said, it's time to be accountable. By not moving forward on this path, you're actually cheating yourself of an opportunity. whatever that is, to experience something, to learn something in this lifetime. Don't cheat yourself. Do it. The worst that'll happen is it doesn't end up the way you wanted, but you're going to go to sleep really easily at night thinking, I did it, I tried it. Not trying it, that's the Seven of Swords. You just lost an opportunity. You cheated yourself. So I'm here to tell you that you can't cheat yourself. You have to go after whatever it is for you, because your soul's coming through saying, yes, I'm ready. Are you ready? Because your soul was whispering a big old yes to me this morning. And then make some noise like the cricket. Make it happen, okay? So let's go ahead and meditate. And we're going to tune into the forest and listen to the crickets, the tree frogs, all that stuff. We're going to get the noise out there, get your frequency higher. Crickets actually, it's a very high frequency if you ever heard, like they're very high and they're sort of chirping. So we're going to work with their chirping and they're going to raise our frequency a little bit. Unusual meditation, but that's where I'm headed in my head. While I'm getting set up here, I'm going to bring out a singing bowl that we'll use in just a moment. If you haven't already hit like and subscribe, I'd love for you to do that. And I might pull a card afterwards to see if there's any final messages before we finish. So stick around if you can. But in the meantime, close your eyes and see yourself in the forest at night near a sort of a stream that's coming through this clearing. So you can see the starry sky above you. And you can see the stars being reflected in the water. And actually, I'd like you to take a moment just looking into the water. And as you touch it, you can see all the stars rippling. And you see your face looking back. There's just enough reflection from the moonlight. And it's kind of this cool effect because you can see the stars sometimes overprinting your face as the water starts to come back into a nice, quiet and calm energy. And you realize I really am part of that. I'm part of the design of this universe. I am one of the stars. And you can almost see like a constellation around your body tracing the outline. And I want you to focus for a second until you see one of the stars overprinting your third eye. Look within the water and allow for that reflection to pull you in. You can even imagine that the hand is pulling you into the water. Your body's going to be on the planet Earth, but you're actually walking through another dimension here for a moment. And the only thing that you hear kind of as you are walking through the portal for a moment, you can hear the crickets, you can hear the birds, you can hear that environment around you. And that sound raises your frequency so you can fully go through this portal, this sort of glass-like portal on the water. Now, as you look through the other side, what you see is your past, your present, your future, and you can see your body as it truly looks. It's almost like constellations of light. We have all these different chakras, not just the 7 main ones. And you can see that it's almost like you're some extraterrestrial being, because guess what? You are. And in this moment, you're starting to own the fact that the limits that you've imposed on yourself, they were earthly, they were imaginary, they were unnecessary. So close your eyes both in real life and in the meditation. And I can hear a high-pitched tone coming through my ears. It's almost like I'm hearing everything through glass right now. So I do feel like we're making a difference here. I want you to start to imagine what you could be, not what you are, not what you have been, not what you've been told that you should be. See the true version of yourself projecting from all those points of light, like almost like movie projectors. They're all pushing out the sort of like constellation of you, whatever you're supposed to be, and creating this aggregate movie picture that's moving around a little bit. See yourself as you've always been, as you truly are. Your soul's projection is coming through. And it could be human, it could be not, it doesn't matter. I want you to see what's around you and what your true path on this planet was, is, and will be. And know that it's always in flux. We're creatures of creation. As I play the singing bowl, I want you to imagine that as you breathe, you're breathing the life of creation into this vision of yourself. And then we're going to join with that, and then we're going to come back to the planet. So see yourself in that act of creation, and enjoy the singing bowl as I'm helping you meditate. Take a deep breath and imagine that you are walking towards your creation and that you kind of put your hands against this mirror image of yourself and pull that mirror image towards you and feel that you're actually pulling the energy within you. You can give it a hug as you're doing this as well. Feeling maybe for the first time that you feel that higher love because it's your highest possible self. It's a connection to God and the divine. And then let this melt into your heart space. Let it melt into your throat, into your third eye, allowing you to see, to feel, to hear everything. Don't neglect the lower chakras as well. See it going into your power center around your belly button. See it going into your sexual chakra so you can express yourself, so you can create, into the root chakra so that you can feel grounded and ready for all of these things that are coming through. And then step back into the water and see yourself kind of like some sort of weird Alice in Wonderland thing, walking out of the water and standing upright back on the planet, capable of now using these superpowers that you put in to create, to be, to embody all that which you'd like to experience in this lifetime. Let's take one last breath together. Rub your hands together until you can feel the heat, the warmth, the light, the power that you have within. Put your left hand on your heart, your right hand on top of that. Give yourself gratitude for showing up, for sticking around for the meditation, and for doing the work on yourself. I'm going to pull one last card, and then we're going to wrap up here. And let's see if there's any final messages about integration. I actually pulled it from an oracle deck, so this is perfect. I got the sea serpent. And so what I'm seeing with this is you have come full circle. And we actually see that right there. And we see almost the third eye or that protective evil eye coming through, which is actually a protection symbol. So you have created that which you've tried to create. So just start to own that and see that. I can't get any more. I don't think it can be any clearer how many eyes were coming through this month. So if you can see it, others can see it. Keep seeing that, okay? Thank you, everybody, for showing up today for just a beautiful reading. It's always magical with your sign. It's magical with every sign, but I feel like the past couple readings for Virgo have been amazing. So thank you. Your energy makes a big impact in what I'm able to bring forth. So if anybody has, I see we're still getting some super chats. Thank you so much. Again, that helps me with all the different decks that you saw today. And later when this is on replay, I'll pin a reply to the pinned comment. So thank you so much. For those of you that hit like and subscribe, thank you as well. It's annoying to hear me say that, but it really is important to the algorithm here. So thanks for making a difference. If you are watching this on replay, there's a new option called Applaud, and it's right by the like and the share buttons. And it does the same thing as Super Chat. So if you want to do that, thank you. Everything else that I'm going to talk about is on my website, which is nicholasashbaugh.com. If you can't remember how to spell my name, just click on my picture and click on the About tab on YouTube. Whether you're on the app, you can tap it, or on the website, and all this information will be there. I'd love for you to join me on social media. My username across everything is just my full name, Nicholas Ashbaugh, nothing before, nothing after. I use Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube in a cool way where I actually put all these little not sticky notes, but the index cards that I write at the beginning there, so you can read the messages later. And I use the story features on those networks as well. On Goodreads, I have a chance for you to interact with me if you have any questions about my book. TikTok, we'll see. I'm going to decide how to use that more in the coming year, but I'm there. So join me. And as I start to get more active, you can see what's going on. Patreon is a great place to show monthly support. You can also do it by clicking the join button. I see we already have a bunch of folks that have done that. Anyone that has green text and special emojis, thank you. It does give you some advanced heads up on things going on. And if I do Q&A, you get first dibs at any sort of questions on things like that. On Twitter, that's the only one that I have a different username. It's Ashbaugh. And for those of you that are old school and want to do PayPal, it's just my name as well, paypal.me/Nicholas Ashbaugh. All of this, don't worry about all the different usernames. Just go to my website. And again, you can do that by going my picture, about, and all the links are right there. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. As I mentioned earlier, I do have a new book out. It's called The Luminous Ones. This is a sci-fi book. It's not self-help. It's not tarot. For those of you that maybe like things like Lord of the Rings or Dune or Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, or anything that's kind of like in that realm of fantasy and science fiction, you might like it. Check it out. And there's a link. Maria can put a link to that if you'd like to. So in the meantime, thank you so much for showing up today. I will be taking Saturday off, but I'll be back again on Sunday and on Monday. And next up should be Libra and Scorpio, which will be fun. So looking forward to that, and I'll see you soon. Have a great weekend, everybody. Happy Friday the 13th. 13th is a good number. It reduces to a 4, which is harmonious, so don't freak out. All right, take care, everyone. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.